Another day, another story. Omaha, Neb. AP. A tornado plowed through suburban Omaha, Nebraska, on Friday, the 26th of April 2024, damaging hundreds of homes and other structures as it tore for miles along farmland and into subdivisions. Some injuries were reported, but there were no immediate reports that anyone was killed. Multiple tornadoes were reported in Nebraska and Iowa on Friday, but the most destructive storm moved from a largely rural area into suburbs northwest of Omaha, a city of 485,000 people. Photos on social media showed the small city of Minden, Iowa, about 30 miles (48.3 kilometers) northeast of Omaha also sustained heavy damage. Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. 3 people were injured in Nebraska's Lancaster County when a tornado hit an industrial building, causing it to collapse with 70 people inside. File players warm up on the field before an NCAA college football game between Northwestern and Nebraska, Saturday, August 27, 2022, at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. Iowa State and Kansas State will play their 2025 season opener in Ireland at the 4th Aer Lingus College Football Classic. The Cyclones and Wildcats will meet August 23, 2025, at Aviva Stadium in Dublin. AP photo, Peter Morrison. File. Cyclones and Wildcats will open 2025 season in the annual college football game in Ireland. File. A roadside memorial stands near the Covenant School on the 1-year anniversary of a mass shooting, March 27, 2024, in Nashville, Tennessee. On Tuesday, April 23, the Republican-led legislature in Tennessee gave final approval to legislation that would allow some public school teachers to carry concealed guns into the classroom, a year after the deadly school shooting in the state's capital city stirred impassioned debate about the best ways to curb such violence. The tornado warning was issued in the Omaha area on Friday afternoon just as children were due to be released from school. Many schools had students shelter in place until the storm passed. Hours later, buses were still transporting students home. In Nebraska's Lancaster County, where 3 people were injured when an industrial building collapsed, sheriff's officials also said they had reports of a tipped-over train near Waverly. 2 people who were injured in the county were being treated at the trauma center at Bryan Medical Center West Campus in Lincoln, the facility said in a news release. The hospital said the patients were in triage and no details were released on their condition. File. Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association, speaks after Support Our Schools Nebraska delivered 117,000 petition signatures to the Nebraska Secretary of State, Wednesday, August 30, 2023, in Lincoln, Nebraska. Opponents of a Nebraska private school funding measure passed on the last day of the legislative session are considering how to fight it. Public school advocates again face how to stop school choice in Nebraska. They're going to be putting together a strategic plan for a detailed search of the area, starting with the properties with most damage, Bossman said. We'll be looking throughout properties in debris piles, we'll be looking in basements, trying to find any victims and make sure everybody is rescued who needs assistance. Bonacci said many homes were destroyed or severely damaged. You definitely see the path of the tornado, Bonacci said. Midwest tornadoes flatten homes in Nebraska suburbs and leave trails of damage in Iowa. Omaha resident Pat Woods says they saw the tornado and took cover. In one area of Elkhorn, dozens of newly built, large homes were damaged. At least 6 were wrecked, including one that was leveled, while others had the top half ripped off. There were dozens of emergency vehicles in the area. We watched it touch down like 200 yards over there and then we took shelter, said Pat Woods, who lives in Elkhorn. We could hear it coming through. When we came up, our fence was gone and we looked to the northwest and the whole neighborhood's gone. His wife, Kim Woods, added, the whole neighborhood just to the north of us is pretty flattened. 3 people, including a child, were in the basement of the leveled home when the tornado hit but got out safely, according to Davol Naik, who said he works with home's owner. KETV TV video showed one woman being removed from a wrecked home on a stretcher in Blair, a city just north of Omaha. Bonacci said only 2 people have been transported for treatment, both with minor injuries. He said crews are now doing a second search of homes. He said fire crews would work throughout the night to check all the unsafe structures and make sure no one is inside. People had warnings of this and that saved lives, Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmaderer said, of the few serious injuries. The tornado warning was issued in the Omaha area on Friday afternoon just as children were due to be released from school. Many schools had students shelter in place until the storm passed. Hours later, buses were still transporting students home. Was it one long-track tornado or was it several tornadoes? Said Becky Kern, the warning coordination meteorologist in the National Weather Service's Omaha office. She said the agency planned to send out multiple crews over the next several days to determine the number of tornadoes and their strength, and that it could take up to 2 weeks to finish the evaluation. Some appeared to be violent tornadoes, she continued. There were tornadoes in different areas. And so it's like forensic meteorology, we call it, like piecing together all the damage indicators. Another tornado hit an area on the eastern edge of Omaha, passing directly through parts of Epley Airfield, the city's airport. Officials closed the airport to aircraft operations to access damage but then reopened the facility, Omaha Airport Authority Chief Strategy Officer Steve McCoy said. The passenger terminal wasn't hit by the tornado but people rushed to storm shelters until the twister passed, McCoy said. After passing through the airport, the tornado crossed the Missouri River and into Iowa, north of Council Bluffs. Nebraska Emergency Management Agency spokesperson Katrina Spurl said damage reports were just starting to come in. Taylor Wilson, a spokesperson for the University of Nebraska Medical Center, said they hadn't seen any injuries yet. In Lancaster County, where 3 people were injured when an industrial building collapsed, sheriff's officials also said they had reports of a tipped-over train near Waverly. 2 people who were injured in the county were being treated at the trauma center at Bryan Medical Center West Campus in Lincoln, the facility said in a news release. The hospital said the patients were in triage and no details were released on their condition. The Omaha Public Power District reported that nearly 10,000 customers were without power in the Omaha area. Daniel Feenhold, manager of the Pink Poodle Steakhouse in Crescent, Iowa, said he was outside watching the weather with his daughter and restaurant employees. He said, "It looked like a pretty big tornado was forming, northeast of town. It started raining, and then it started hailing, and then all the clouds started to kind of swirl and come together, and as soon as the wind started to pick up, that's when I headed for the basement, but we never saw it," Feenhold said. The forecast for Saturday was ominous. The Weather Service also issued tornado watches across parts of Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma and Texas. And forecasters warned that large hail and strong wind gusts were possible. It does look like a big outbreak again tomorrow, Kern said. Maybe slightly farther south. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.